Buy Sri Lanka's best internet package for online learning and online working with many amazing offers. Call 1212 for more information. Sri Lanka Telecom.
ලෙන්ගතුකම වැඩි කරගන්න ලව්ජු රුපියල් 50ට අඩු කළා.
මාමේ එන්න අපිට එකක් බොමු.
Tonight, failed statement. Opposition leader backtracks after courting North Korean diplomatic disaster.
We are moving towards an economy that is akin to North Korea, a failed state.
You have mentioned a country as a failed state.
I never mentioned failed state.
The long reach of terror. Planned Claymore attacks in the north and east exposed after Wednesday's arrests of bomb transport duo. Plugging the leaks. The Committee on Public Accounts hears of massive 1.3 trillion rupee inland revenue deficit from 2018 and other major state losses. Ready for anything. Deputy Director General of Health Services says no dearth of hospital beds.
Over 2,900 beds are available at any moment.
And warns of attempts to break LPL bubble.
There is some kind of pressure coming over the health authorities to entertain certain spectators into the ground. We will never advise and never advocate.
All that and much more coming up on First at 9. This Friday, the 4th of December, 2020.
Nava Sunlight Sakura. Then Dikukal Pavatina Sakura Mal Suandin.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhammike Kanaka. Let's start with your local stories. Whilst most nations remain wary of courting controversy with nuclear-armed North Korea, Parliament proceedings were dominated by a comment made by opposition leader Sajith Premadasa, who labelled the country a failed state while attempting to castigate the Sri Lankan government over its policies. After being informed that the comment would be expunged, the opposition leader, however, protested the move, accusing the Speaker of violating his rights to express his opinion.
The present administration have failed in their duty to present to the country the second and third quarter figures for the economic growth rates. We all know that the Census and Statistics Department announced that in the first quarter we had negative growth, minus 1.6% growth. Since the government has engaged in hiding these statistics, a negative impression has been created in the financial markets, which does not bode well for our country's economy. This government, through the 2021 budget speech, expounded the fact that state income is going to achieve a humongous rise from the present state of 9% of GNP to 14%. I would like to ask the State Minister, when have we in our history achieved such a huge jump in state income within the course of 12 months? This is preposterous. The State Minister of Finance talks about the fact that the present administration is embarking on a revolutionary path-breaking economic policy which no other government has implemented. In a sense, I agree with him, because at the end of last year, this government took the most ludicrous decision of cutting taxes to benefit the super rich in our country, thereby ensuring that up to 600 to 800 billion rupees of government revenue were given as handouts to the well-off in our society. Through these tax cuts, this government has crowned themselves as the super neoliberalists, putting import restrictions, having a process whereby we are moving towards a restricted economic model which stifles international trade, and we are somewhat moving towards an economy that is akin to North Korea, a failed state, a bankrupt economy. This administration is striving to disengage themselves from international activity. The international ratings are an important indicator of gauging international confidence in our economy. In his reply to my question, he was talking of post-COVID, as if COVID had disappeared from our society. Is he detached from reality in our country? Mr. Speaker, I pity your government. The present administration is hostage to super rich. This government is totally incompetent.
Honorable Leader of the Opposition, during your speech, I think it is by mistake that you have mentioned that a country as a failed state. So permit me to expunge that part from your speech, because that had nothing to do with us, I think.
I never mentioned failed state.
Yes.
No, I never mentioned. It's not in my notes, I never mentioned. What I said was a failed, incompetent, inept government, not the state.
If it is so, I will get it.
No, I have not uttered
If it
the
is
word
not,
failed state.
no problem.
This is ludicrous. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I never mentioned the word failed state. You're totally wrong.
Yes, Mr. Ponnambala.
Mr. Speaker, on what grounds can you expunge the term failed state? There is nothing in the standing orders that can make you expunge that term.
It has nothing to do with...
That is an opinion. If, for example, if I in the course of a speech use the term failed state, you can't expunge that. That is my opinion. What gives you the right to expunge such terms? You can't. That is entirely an opinion. It is an opinion that can be expressed rightfully, legally, to depict what we consider to be the situation.
Ignorance should not be tolerated in this house.
Safeguard hand sanitizer නවතම නිෂ්පාදන පෙළ නීරෝගිමත් දිවයකට ලංකාවේ පළමු වරට හඳුන්වා දෙන මැලිබන් වෙජි ක්‍රැකර්
Crunchy veggie.
Now, the Committee on Public Accounts met yesterday and on Wednesday with officials of the Inland Revenue Department to look into revenue losses incurred by it. During the proceedings, department officials revealed a staggering 1.3 trillion revenue deficit from 2018, attributed mainly to outstanding dues from government institutions that have been determined to be unable to settle dues. Further, various negligent activities within the Sri Lanka customs were also revealed, amounting to billions of rupees.
The Inland Revenue Department was summoned before the Committee on Public Accounts on Wednesday, the 2nd of December. At the meeting chaired by Professor Derana, the committee was told that the Inland Revenue Department's income deficit for the year 2018 was a staggering 1.3 trillion rupees. Officials from the Inland Revenue Department also revealed that the majority of the income deficits were outstanding dues from government institutions and that an independent board had determined that some institutions were not in a financial position to pay up. With that, the committee instructed the Inland Revenue Department to submit a full report on the institutions and their outstanding dues. In addition, the Auditor General's Department pointed out that dishonoured cheques amounting to 3 billion rupees received by the department also contributed to the revenue deficit. The Inland Revenue Department officials also pointed out to the committee that a blacklist inclusive of 65 taxpayers has already been prepared. Meanwhile, also brought to the committee's attention when sittings resumed yesterday was a loss of 6.13 billion rupees between 2013 and 2016 incurred by the Sri Lanka Customs due to two leading palm oil companies. An audit conducted by the Auditor General's Department revealed that the loss was due to the negligence by Sri Lanka Customs officials to clear the specific goods under the Harmonised System Code. Despite measures having been taken by the Secretary to the Treasury and Ministry of Finance to investigate and recover these losses, the committee directed the Sri Lanka Customs to take immediate action in this regard. It was also highlighted that since 2013, the government had lost revenue of 220 million rupees due to importers having registered imported vehicles as dual-purpose vehicles for special purposes. Further, it was also revealed that a minimum of 1.3 billion rupees could have been levied, calculated at 3 million rupees each for 443 specialized vans imported during the 2010 to 2019 period. Following this, it was proposed to expedite the maintaining of an automated computer comparison system as previously recommended by the committee. The members of the committee agreed to assist in the legislative process if amendments to any acts are required for this purpose. Also taken up was the failure to implement an adequate internal control system within the Sri Lanka Customs for import and export processes after the Customs had released 6 containers of perfume worth a total of 39.3 million rupees, which were claimed to be Western medication, causing the government a loss of 40.7 million rupees. The failure to provide adequate punishment to the officials involved in the act of fraud was also revealed at the committee.
Security forces have unravelled a planned attack in the north and east by the terror group LTTE. A husband and wife duo had been arrested in Parandan on Wednesday while attempting to transport a Claymore anti-personnel mine on a Jaffna Kandy bus, and the interrogations have revealed their attack plans. The arrested woman had revealed that funds were deposited into her bank account from a foreign source to transport the mine to the east for the attack, which is the 15th such attack planned since the end of the conflict. Army Commander Lieutenant General Shavindra Silva meanwhile assures the public that despite all the country's challenges, safety and security will be guaranteed by the military and the police.
A husband and wife duo were arrested in Parantan on Wednesday while attempting to transport a 1.8 kilogram Claymore mine on board a bus travelling from Jaffna to Kandy. Acting on a tip-off received from Army intelligence officials, the duo were taken into custody as they were transporting the anti-personnel mine, hidden inside a travelling bag. Sources revealed that the couple had taken their 7-year-old child along with them to avoid suspicion. The woman has been identified as a former LTTE combatant who, along with her husband, were residing at a house located in front of the Ayakachi residence of the mother of Kajipan Ponnaya Selvanayagam alias Gopi, an LTTE combatant killed by security forces in the Nedunkani jungles in 2014. Interrogation of the suspects revealed that the LTTE network had attempted to transport the mines to carry out attacks on 2 targets in the north and the east. Further, the mastermind of the attacks has been identified as the Swiss resident brother of slain LTTE combatant Gopi. Further, the arrested woman has revealed that the Claymore mine was to be transported to the east and that funds had been transferred to her bank account by the foreign LTTE network for this purpose. She had also revealed that the mine had been handed over to her by an individual who had arrived at her residence on a motorcycle. Further, based on information received during interrogations, a hand grenade was found buried at an unspecified location, and the police and the army have launched a joint operation to locate another buried explosive device. Meanwhile, following revelations that the couple had also transported another mine to Jaffna, Army Intelligence and Police Terrorist Investigation Division units have been deployed to determine its target. The police headquarters have revealed that this is the 15th attempt by the LTTE's diaspora network to launch a terrorist attack in Sri Lanka after the end of the conflict. Meanwhile, Army Commander Lieutenant General Shavindra Silva says that the Army continues to be vigilant of any threats to public security while simultaneously engaging in pandemic-related duties.
මේක අලුතෙන් හදපු ක්ලේම බෝම්බයක් නෙමෙයි මේක පරණ ඒ කාලේ හදපු ක්ලේම එකක් මේ බෝම්බයක් යම්කිසි පවුලක් ඒ පවුලෙත් ඒ කාන්තාව දන්නා පරිදි සුළු කාලයකට හෝ ත්‍රස්තවාදී සංවිධානයේ සමග සම්බන්ධලා කටයුතු කරපු පුද්ගලයෙක් ඔබ දන්නවා අපි ගොඩක් අය 12000කට අධික සංඛ්‍යාවක් මේ රටේ ත්‍රස්තවාදයට ඍජුවම සම්බන්ධ වෙච්ච අයවලුන් පුනරුත්ථාපනය කරලා සමාජගත කරුන් ලැබුවා. ඉතින් මේ වගේ අයවලුන් හෝ නැත්නම් ආර්ථිකමය අතින් දුෂ්කරතාවයෙන් පෙළෙන පවුලකට හෝ මේ පිටරටවල ඉඳලා මුදල් දීලා මෙවැනි ක්‍රියාකාරකම් කරලා ත්‍රස්තවාදයෙන් පණ දීමට උත්සාහ කරන කණ්ඩායම් ඉන්නවා. ඉතින් ඒ මොන ආකාරයෙන් උත්සාහ කරත් එසේ නැත්නම් සුළුකුණාට වෙනවා කිව්වත් ඒ මොන දේ කරත් අපි හිතාමත් හොඳින් අවධානයෙන් ඉන්න හමුදාවක් මේ රටේ ඉන්නේ. තව දුරටත් අපි දකිනවා මතවාදී පිටරටවල ඉඳලා කරගෙන යනවා. මේ රටෙත් සමකිසි කණ්ඩායමක් ඉන්නවා ත්‍රස්තවාදයේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් උසවස්වන්න කටයුතු කරනවා. නමුත් භූමියේ මේ තත්ත්වය කෙසේ හෝ පාලනය කිරීමට මේ තියෙන තත්ත්වයන් ඔක්කොම හමුවේ ත්‍රිවිධ හමුදා පොලිසිය අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම කටයුතු කරනවා. අපේ රටේ ජනතාව ආරක්ෂා කර ගැනීම සඳහා කළ යුතු සියලුම ක්‍රියාමාර්ග අපි ගනු ලබනවා.
Now, in other news, former Chief of Staff for the Senate Office of US Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, Rohini Kosolu, has been appointed Harris's domestic policy advisor. The Jaffna-born New Jersey native will oversee and advise the US Vice President on policy areas including education, energy and environment, healthcare, immigration, infrastructure, labor, transportation, urban affairs and veterans affairs.
US Vice President-elect Kamala Harris has picked Sri Lankan-born American Rohini Kosoglu to be her domestic policy advisor. Kosoglu, whose parents are from Jaffna, has served as Harris's Chief of Staff for Senate office as well as during her presidential campaign. During her time as Chief of Staff for the presidential campaign, Kosoglu oversaw a range of Harris's pre-election activities such as debate preparation, policy, communications and operations. This included oversight for a team with over 300 staff and a $40 million budget. Kosoglu is an alumnus of the Harvard University Kennedy School, where she is a resident fellow at the Institute of Politics. She was also the first South Asian American woman to serve as the Chief of Staff in the US Senate. Originally from New Jersey, Kosoglu is a graduate of the University of Michigan and the George Washington University and is a mother to 3 young children. On the appointment, Harris has stated that as a domestic policy advisor, Kosoglu, who is not only an expert on some of the most important issues facing the American people, but also one of her closest and most trusted aides from the Senate and presidential campaign. On the appointment, Harris has stated that as a domestic policy advisor, Kosoglu, who is not only an expert on some of the most important issues facing the American people, is also one of her closest and most trusted aides from the Senate and presidential campaign.
We will see you once more on the other side of this break. Bear with us.
Ceylon Bank, the bank with a heart.
Welcome back. This is First at 9. Now, prison sources revealed today that the main cause of the Mahara prison riot that left 11 dead was a clash between rival underworld gangs. New footage of the riot was also released to media. In the meantime, a group of inmates at the Valikada prison who launched a fast demanding the release of inmates convicted over minor offences continued their agitation into the 8th day today.
New footage of the riot which took place at the Mahara prison was released to media today. The incident saw 11 inmates being killed as they attempted to break out of the prison. Over 100 persons, including inmates and prison officials, also sustained injuries. Prison sources said that the riot in the prison arose due to a clash that took place between several underworld gangs. They added that among them are the accomplices of Guna Kovila Roha, Maligavatta Suresh, Ganemulla Sanjeeva and Rankatia. In the midst of the riot, prison officials also came across a group of prison inmates who were in a more leisurely, jovial mood, opting to sing. Meanwhile, around 150 STF personnel who were deployed to control the riot at Mahara prison have been directed to undergo self-quarantine. This measure was taken as some of the inmates who died and some who were injured during the riot being COVID-19 positive. In the meantime, the fast launched by a group of inmates at the Valikada prison demanding the release of those who are convicted over minor offences entered its 8th day today. The topic was also given attention by State Minister of Prison Management and Prisoner Rehabilitation Lohan Ratwatta. Focus fell on the release of inmates with minor offence convictions following a formal quarantine process.
Now, Attorney General Dappula de Oliveira has provided a note of clarification to his counterpart in Singapore pertaining to Sri Lanka's request to extradite former Central Bank Governor Arjuna Mahendran over the bond scam. The Attorney General's coordinating officer said that the AG had informed the Secretary of Justice that Sri Lanka's extradition request of Mahendran is still pending, and a clarification note was provided to the Attorney General of Singapore today. Attorney at Law Kushani Rohanadira has been appointed as the Deputy Secretary General and Chief of Staff of the Parliament of Sri Lanka. Speaker of Parliament Mahinda Abeyewardene approved the appointment on the recommendation of the Secretary General of Parliament Dhammika Dasanayake. Rohanadira has been appointed to fill the vacancy created by the appointment of former Deputy Secretary General and Chief of Staff of Parliament Neet Lildavela as a Court of Appeal judge. Rohanadira has served as the Assistant Secretary General of Administrative Services in Parliament since 2012 after joining Parliamentary Services in 1999 as a parliamentary officer. Now, a group of medical experts have urged the Chief of National Operations Centre for the Prevention of COVID-19, Army Commander Lieutenant General Shavindra Silva, to look into the possibility of allowing private hospitals to treat COVID-19 infected persons. During talks with the Army Commander, the delegation had emphasised that such a move would reduce congestion at state institutions. The Ministry of Health, however, insists that there are well over 2,500 beds available for patients at any given time. Sri Lanka successfully negotiated the first wave of COVID-19, which hit the island in March with minimum fatalities. That, however, seems a distant memory, as the second wave caught the country and its people off guard. What's worse is that the virus strain which came with it is far more virulent, and it is evident in the caseloads and, most of all, deaths the country has suffered since the beginning of October. The country's death toll rose by 5 yesterday, pushing the figure to 129. Among them are 4 persons who were above the age of 70, while the other was a 56-year-old. What's more, 4 out of 5 persons to succumb yesterday had also been suffering from underlying health conditions, which were exacerbated by the viral infection. Medical complications brought on by a bacterial infection and COVID-19 infection is cited as cause of death of the remaining person. In recent times, the health authorities ramped up testing, and as a result, more infections are being confirmed. 627 cases were reported yesterday, with an alarming 402 infections being confirmed from the island's financial capital, the Colombo district. 66 cases, meanwhile, were reported from the Gampaha district. Elsewhere, 35 patients were confirmed from the Ratnapura district, while 30 cases were recorded from Kalutara. A further 50 cases were confirmed across 12 other districts. From yesterday's figures, 43 patients fell into the category of other, as their residence could not be confirmed.
Now that we are using rapid antigen test to identify cases, this test is very good to use in some instances. For example, if there are a lot of cases we are expecting in a small area, like maybe some institution or maybe some village or some place, it is a good instance to use this test, as well as among the contacts to identify these cases that we are using rapid antigen test. Similarly, we have used this test in lockdown areas in Colombo Municipal Council and also some other institutions like prison in the country, and also that we have used this in the Atulugama, this village where we reported number of cases. When we use that, if there are a lot of patients are coming, that means that there are a lot of people that are highly infectious. That is maybe the early stage of the infection. So that it is very important to identify them early and remove them from that society. Then we can break this chain of transmission. So that is what we are doing with the rapid antigen test.
We have over 10,000 beds allocated and identified to be used for COVID-19 patients, and out of which at present we have using only a proportion of over 2,900 beds are available at any moment to be utilized for treatment of COVID-19 patients. And also over the past 24 hours we have performed over 13,000 PCR tests, and we can continue that capacity in the coming days also, through which we are trying our best to control the current COVID-19 cluster that started in early October this year.
In the meantime, Sri Lanka's total number of active COVID-19 cases currently stand at 6,471. It should also be highlighted that 19,438 patients have successfully recovered from the virus since its first outbreak in the country. Meanwhile, a high-level delegation of medical experts comprised of consultants and medical specialists had a cordial discussion with the chief of the National Operations Centre for the Prevention of COVID-19, Army Commander Lieutenant General Shavindra Silva, to explore the possibility of private sector hospitals accommodating COVID-19 patients' treatment. During the meeting, which was worked off yesterday at the Army headquarters, it was pointed out that such opportunities should remain open for virus-infected patients, as this could help reduce the congestion at state sector facilities and create more space, largely for less income groups. The Army commander assured them that their concerns will be taken up at the National Operations Centre for Prevention of COVID-19 Task Force, Director General of Health Services and other authorities before a decision is made in this regard. In other developments, with the Lanka Premier League currently underway, there are strong calls from the public to accommodate spectators at venues where matches are being played. Health authorities, however, believe that making such a move would be inviting trouble.
LPL tournament is currently undergoing under the guidance and directions given by the Health Ministry, and those guidelines include that the tournament should be conducted without spectators. However, today I got certain reports from our health authorities in the Hambantota district that there is some kind of pressure coming over the health authorities in the local areas in Hambantota to entertain certain spectators into the ground, which we will never advise and never advocate, because this can be a starting point for another cluster of disease cluster all over the country, because if the spectators are coming and gathering in this kind of places, and also we have seen that some of these spectators are coming from Western Province, especially from Colombo Municipal Council area, so therefore it is not permitted, and therefore we very strongly advise the public that do not go to the areas where this tournament is conducted, because the health authorities will not permit anybody to enter the grounds as spectators.
We will see you shortly. Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, veteran exporter Suresh Dimel has been appointed as the new chairperson of the Export Development Board. Dimel is the current managing director of Fishing Flies Private Limited. His appointment comes following the resignation of Prabhash Subasinghe as chairperson of the EDB. Subasinghe was appointed as the chairperson of EDB, replacing Indira Malvatta, who announced her resignation as the chairperson of the EDB on the 19th of November 2019, ending a 4-year stint. Sri Lankan Airlines has once again won the title World's Leading Airline to the Indian Ocean, which is an award that it has held on to since 2016. The national carrier's chairman Ashok Patrage stated that the latest accolade demonstrates the airline's commitment to delivering the government vision of making Sri Lanka an aviation hub in Asia.
National carrier Sri Lankan Airlines, a member of the One World Alliance, has won the prestigious World's Leading Airline to the Indian Ocean title once again at the World Travel Awards Grand Final held in Moscow. Sri Lankan Airlines chairman Ashok Patrage said the latest accolade demonstrates the airline's commitment to delivering the government of Sri Lanka's vision of making Sri Lanka an aviation hub in Asia, and the company was building on its business plan to strengthen its position as a fully fledged international airline. Patrage added that winning the world's leading airline to the Indian Ocean for the 5th year running is commendable, especially given the current situation with COVID-19, which continues to cause disruption to the aviation and travel industry. The airline has been winning the coveted title since 2016, and this year the national carrier not only won the title as Asia's leading airline to the Indian Ocean, but also was honoured with the title Asia's leading marketing campaign at the WTA Asia ceremony in 2020.
Now, taking a look at the Colombo bourse, Sri Lankan shares ended higher for a 9th straight session today, with the all-share price index closing 0.59% higher to end with its 5th weekly gain, while the S&P SL20 index up 0.63%. Now, here's Dimantha Matthew from First Capital with a brief report on today's market performance.
The market was up again today for the 9th consecutive trading session, with the ASPI today touching the 6,400 mark and slightly closing below it to end at 6,397 points. The market was up by around 38 points today, while the S&P SL20 index was up by around 16 points. Heavy trading again occurred today. We saw the turnover levels again surpassing the 3 billion mark, similar to yesterday, and ending at 3.3 billion rupee. Overall turnover was mostly local dominated, and out of that also retail was the most dominated area. With that, we saw foreign participation being rather low, again somewhere in the range of 2 to 3%. In the overall market, positivity was on the market with 162 stocks weighing positively on the index.
And that's it from all of us here at First at 9. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.